So my son-in-law came to me the other day and he asked me to reflect on the years that I've been away from America and what changes I've seen. I noticed that there's a lack of care for human life. And before that, there was even, until now, a lack of care of making life. Sexual interactions between men and women have become just for that feeling in the moment and not for building or trying to establish some type of family roots. A few years after I got out of high school, you found nurseries in the high schools so that the young girls can continue their education while their children are in the nurseries. Many things that were frowned upon 20 years ago are accepted these days. Even the most roughest and toughest man would mention LGBT people and say, well, that's their decision, that's their choice. When you can find many times back that it was never accepted and you were never allowed to come out like this in the community. But nowadays it's normal. People are even questioning whether they're male or female. Well, I'm preaching to the choir. Everybody knows these things. It comes down to one single problem that we have. Number one is to understand how society progresses, how things change. It always starts with the person. It starts with the individual and trying to be the best individual you can be. That reflects in your duty towards the community and serving the community. So let's talk about this for a second. So my son came to me with a video. And the video was basically police brutalizing a young lady. The reason he showed it to me, that he couldn't understand what was going on in this picture. The lady basically had blood all around her head and she was on the ground. And the police were trying to get her up and trying to get her to basically submit to whatever they needed to do or what have you. And the one thing I noticed about it was the people filming the situation. They're filming it. And while they're filming it, they're telling the police, no, you shouldn't do that. That's wrong, this, that, and the other. So I asked my son, I said, if that was your mother on the ground, what would you do? So, okay, that's obvious, right? If it was your sister on the ground, what would you do? If it was your niece on the ground, what would you do? Your wife on the ground, what would you do? That made a whole different perspective. Do I have time to take my phone out, put the camera app and film something? Let's just think about it for a second. That's somebody's possible. It's definitely somebody's daughter, somebody's sister possibly, somebody's aunt, somebody's mother that's on the ground bleeding while a male police officer is brutalizing her. In what world could that happen if family was intact? So the family's there. The family see somebody trying to brutalize their sister, their daughter. It won't happen. That's first and foremost. It's not happening. So that's the first point. Now, okay, let's say now that's not, none of her family members are there. Okay, now you have the community there. And it's obvious that something's happening to her and the community is watching now. But the community consists of families. The community is a group of families. So how can the community allow that? Do you think my neighbor's daughter is on the ground and I'm gonna let that happen? Do you think that the neighbor's wife is on the ground and we're gonna sit around and film it? What do you think? That family sentiment extends to community. And then community extends to society. I'm on a whole other side of town and I see the same thing take place. Am I just gonna stand there and film it? Let's make sense out of this. Now, some people might think like, come on, man, that's fantasy, that's this. Now, let me tell you a story to prove my point. There was a guy in Egypt, there was a guy that sells tea. So he sits on the corner, he has his little thing to heat the water and he makes tea for people and people pay him the little pounds. And this person, in the eyes of the bigger society, he's one of those miskin people. He's a person that's a poor person. So the police officer is upset about something that happened with the tea and they start to argue. And then the police officer shoots the guy. Now, guess what happens next? Everybody comes to this situation, doesn't care that it's the police, flips the police car. Ask about this story. This is an extension from the individual, to the family, to the community, to the society. That's something that you have to understand. Let me tell you another story. I was in an Uber and I was headed down the highway. Somebody came, hit a car, and the lady comes out and she's screaming and like she didn't know what to do. So everybody is stopping to try to help. I didn't see not one cell phone. Even the Uber driver himself, he said, wait, hold up, give me a second. He gets out to try to help. It's none of his business. In our world, in the Western world, it's none of your business. The Uber just keep going. Take me to where I need to go. This is how we're thinking. He's like, he don't care. He's like, you can get out there. He's going to check and see what's going on and see if he can help. I've seen this so many times, and I never thought about it until I looked at what's happening in the West right now. I'll tell you one final story. I was walking in the neighborhood, and a lady starts to scream. And everybody comes. All the men come to see what's going on. And I end up being in the crowd myself. Like, I just end up being consumed in the crowd of people trying to see what's going on and to see if this person is okay. I can go on and on with these stories. But what I've noticed in the West and what's happening in the West since I've been gone is the family breakdown. And almost every problem you can name, you can take it back to the fact that the families are broken down. Let's talk about George Floyd. His knee was on his neck. Boy, it looked to me, he was killed. Others will argue, oh, he was on drugs or what have you, whatever. The point is this. If that was your son and the police had the knee on the neck of your son, what would you have done? Pulled out your camera? Filmed it? That's what you would have did? If that's my neighbor, do you think that we would stand there with our phones? What happened to the families? What happened to the communities? What happened to the societies that care for one another? And what does that do? If that existed, do you think that the police would have the nerve or the courage to come into a community and do anything to the people there except say, excuse me, sir, how's everything going? Do your job. You would be forced at that point to do your job and not cross the line, not exceed the limits. In my opinion, people pump us up with things that we really can't do anything about. We're pumped up with these things. But the things we can do things about, we neglect it. You have a man talking about reestablishing the Khilafah over here. But then his kids are in the streets selling drugs and in gangs and being with women. Bro, what can you control? What can't you control? This is the reality. And if we just focus 1 year, focus on yourself, man. Get yourself right. Get yourself right with God. Then start to do your duty for those people that are under your mesuliyah, those people that are under your authority. It would be a different world. But we keep trying to shoot so high that we miss the point. We're shooting so high that we miss the point. It starts with you. Allah is going to ask you about you. Then your responsibilities. And every person in this world is encompassed. It comes and it blankets everybody. Just this one thing. The person and what he's responsible for. So I have a son, he has children. He's responsible for those children. If he can't do it, somebody else has to step in and do it. But the fact is, in the West right now, so many people don't even know who their fathers are. Some people are calling somebody daddy, and it's not their daddy. Women have become so loose that it's normal for a woman to have a whole face. And unfortunately, this is seeping down up into the Muslim community right now. Why are you not in control of your family? Why are you not in control of your daughters and your sons? Why are you letting your sons go out here and wreak havoc on the community? That one named Hassan and Abdullah, he in a gang. They Bloods and Crips. What's going on here? It's the breakdown of the family. And when that family breaks down, society breaks down. Community breaks down. You have cases where people older, your elders can't even come outside. They're afraid to come outside. How is this acceptable? They can't come out in their own neighborhoods because all the young boys is on the street selling drugs and gangbanging. What's happened? What about you, man? Where do you stand as a father? I'm sorry for getting emotional about these things, but this is the core of the problem. And when they allow things to happen, people getting confused, people teaching your children things that you don't teach them and you don't believe in. They're telling them to accept this homosexuality, to be Experiment with your gender. At a young age, they're teaching our children this. And we with a smile, put our kids up in these schools. How does that make sense? You leave them alone, they're going to destroy themselves. They're guessing. We already know. Muslims already know. Come to the Muslim world. They have problems. Sure, they have problems. But the core functions are there. Families are there. Little girls prep themselves to become wives at some point. Men prepare themselves to become men and husband at some point. Look at the name of a person. And I'll just use Egypt as an example. If you ask a man his name, he's going to say, my name is Mahmoud, Ahmed, Hani, Farouk. He has at least 4 names. And guess what those names are? It's not something that we came together, we just made up. Like we just make up the names. You, Jerome, Tyrone, whatever, Leroy Jenkins. That's not what it is. It's that you decide the first name. The other names you have are your father, your grandfather, and your great-grandfather. And in some cases, the tribe that you come from. It is natural to keep family intact in this part of the world. Some children in the West don't even have a father on their birth certificate. Why are marriages failing at this alarming rate in the West? Why? Because people are not taking family serious from the beginning. You don't even know how to pick a girl. And the girl doesn't know how to choose a man. There was a news article in America where a lady was in her house, an old lady. The neighbors started smelling something coming from the house. They started seeing a lot of flies and stuff in the house, walking past the house. So they asked the police to do a wellness check on this person. The police enter the house and they find the woman in her bed, decaying, fused to the sheets, and she was still alive. Can you tell me where her family is? And I told this story to a brother. I said, look, man, look at this. This is crazy. He said, you heard that, right? You heard about that. Let me tell you something that I know happened. And it was his own uncle that died in the house. He had children. He had family. He was dead in the house for days before they found him. This is what's happening in the West. Where's the family? Is it possible that my mother can be found in the house 2 or 3 weeks later dead? How is that possible? Now, let me tell you another story to contrast it. I had a neighbor in Egypt. His mother, she lived on the next door to him. And she needed caregivers, like she was facing dementia or something like this. They took their mother and put her next to them. They would check on her themselves. And when she passed away, everybody knew the moment she passed away. And then they had the funeral for her and they buried her. Where are we at with this? In the West, now, your mother, she's too old, you put her in a nursing home. You put her in a home and let the home take her Social Security checks and her pensions and all that. And so that you can go and live your life. But she was there for you, breastfeeding you, changing your diapers, when you can do nothing for yourself. And now when she can't do nothing for herself, you put her in a home and let strangers take care of her. This is what's happening in the West. This is looking back 20 years and seeing what has happened. Why hasn't it gotten better? Why is it getting worse and worse? Almost any ill you can find in the West comes back to this point right here. Nobody is going to sacrifice more for you than your family would. And the problem now is that some would say, well, I had my family, I had my father, I had my mother, and you have problems with them. And that means that they weren't doing their job. They weren't doing their job to make you feel secure, to make you feel loved, to make you feel that you matter. And this is our fault. It comes back to us. The reality is this: the man is the head of the household. And that's the problem with the West. Men and women fighting each other. Men and women not trusting each other. Women saying that we don't need a man. The women play a very important role. No doubt about it. Why you want to be like me? And you ain't built like me. And I'm not built like you. Why you want to be equal to me? Why you looking at me like I got all the privilege? My job is a hard job. You don't want it. Your job is a hard job. I don't want it. All this is ridiculous. We need each other. And that's my message to the West. But guess what? The Muslim world is still moving. This discussion ain't even been had. I apologize to everyone for being so emotional. It really bothers me how we can criticize the Muslim world when what you have are families, predominantly. The people that are not doing this are influenced by the West. The people that are on their culture or in their culture, family is a cornerstone of society. It's that man's responsibility to raise his children right, raise his sons properly, raise his daughters properly. But how can we do this if we're not trying to maintain family? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rectify our situations and let us look at this thing in a deeper way. And sometimes we say that, okay, yeah, it's obligatory and that's that, or it's this and that's that, but it's more to it than that. This thing has wisdom behind it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala legislated it for a reason. And when you look at the benefits and the fruits of doing what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has directed you towards and following the guidance, there's no regret in following the guidance. The guidance is there just to make you a better person. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make all of us better people. And by being better people, building stronger families. And by building stronger families, building stronger communities. And by building stronger communities, building stronger nations. Allahumma ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Get your copy of the Hijrah Handbook at book.makehijrah.com.